So I suppose it's start again. Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. And thanks to Joe once again for agreeing to deliver the seminar. I'm Mairead O'Reilly. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Ed Tech for Engineering and Architecture. So today Joe is going to bring us right up to date with the world of AI, and this is obviously really helpful heading into the new trimester. Um, we'll just before the Joe starts, we're going to let you in on the news of the launch of our new podcast, Jen and I, and it's on the student voice on AI and assessment, and you'll hear all about it from Monday onwards. So Joe's also going to go through how to create a learning session using the different AI tools. And I suppose lastly, I should say we're recording, and I'll distribute the video afterwards. So, Joe, do you want to go ahead from there?
Fantastic. Thanks, Mairead.
Thank
Nice
you.
to be back with everybody. It was May, I think, before the summer break, wasn't it, when we were back together last time? So glad you could make it today, or glad you can pick up on the video if you're picking up on the recording. Um, okay, I've lost my share button. There it is. Share. Bum bum bum. Right. So we've got an hour today. I've got to be done by 2, so we're going to be fairly sharp off the mark there. Just want to kind of give you an update on a few things that have been happening with some of the big tools, and I think you'll find that these tools, quite possibly will be quite useful to use. So those of you that have subscribed to the AI for Educators newsletter, I've knocked one of these out pretty much every week since May. So I think you've got 10 or 12 to read if you've taken the summer off. Um, and it was fun. I was speaking to Jennifer a couple months ago, and you'd gone back to number one, hadn't you, Jen, and kind of read them through. But you were saying it's almost like a social document. This.
It is, yeah, yeah, because you can track the evolution over the year and a bit since you started. And it's like the earlier newsletters are completely out of date because everything has changed so much. So like maybe it's not that valuable to people to go back that far the way I did. But it is fascinating in a very short space of time how things have changed for sure.
And the pace of change doesn't seem to be slowing down. Um, I mean, I was reading like 10 minutes ago, I think the Chinese arm of OpenAI, the ChatGPT, um, published a new slide yesterday about the new ChatGPT 5, whatever they're going to call it, 100 times faster than the current version. This is the one that we're about to get in the next few weeks. 100 times faster for virtually the same kind of consumption of resources. The speed of evolution is just staggering, staggeringly quick at the moment. So do sign up for the newsletter. If this is of interest, because it will keep you up to date between our sessions and stuff like that. I want to show you 3 main tools today: Perplexity, Google's Notebook LM, and Claude. And these are all tools that if you haven't played with them and you're looking at AI and thinking, how can I use this? How can I use this for me as an educator? How can I use this with my students? These are useful tools to know about and to play with. Perplexity is now my number 1 AI. It's the one that I've defaulted my search to now.
I'm
So
fascinated by this, Joe, because you were wedded to ChatGPT for a long time. And I'm really interested because you kind of mentioned that you are still getting ChatGPT as part of Perplexity. Can
yeah,
you choose to only use ChatGPT within Perplexity? And how do you do
yeah,
that?
yeah.
And if I'm derailing you now, stop me. It's
Oh
just,
no, not at all. No, these are great questions. Yeah, so Perplexity is a ChatGPT type tool. Okay, so it's one of these chatbots. Um, it does a few things that ChatGPT doesn't. Okay, and it gives you some capabilities that you don't get in ChatGPT. Okay, so if I go into my settings here now, I'm on the Pro account, so I'm paying them €20 a month, I think it is, for this. Okay, but you see, as I go down here, Perplexity Pro,
Mhm.
AI. Okay, so I can choose Claude, I can choose GPT, ChatGPT 4, which is the latest version that came out over the summer. Okay, I can choose the default Sonar, I can choose. So you've got the choice of these different. The Sonar models are based on Llama, which is one of the big open source AI
Okay.
tools. Okay, so you've got access to Claude, you've got access to GPT, or you've got access to the Llama
And
2.
would you be bothered signing up for Claude Pro separately to
Yes,
this?
yes, I have. I pay for both, and I'll show you why
Okay.
over the next hour. Yeah, because to me, those two tools give you pretty much everything that you're going to need. Um, and Notebook LM is free, so you don't need to sign up for that. Everybody has access to that. So yeah, we've got the ability in Perplexity to choose what AI we're kind of leveraging in the searches and stuff. We've also now got the ability to choose what image generation tool we use coming out of Perplexity. So if you want to use DALL-E or Stable Diffusion or Flux or whatever, and these are just increasing at a rate of knots the capabilities of the different image generation models. So one subscription, you've got access to all those GPTs, and you've got access to these 4 top end image generation tools, which will all give you different types of images, with a different look and a different feel and stuff. So really, really good to have a look at that. In the settings of Perplexity, just like with ChatGPT, where you can go in and set some custom information up about yourself, Perplexity allows you to come in under the profile tab there and say stuff about you. Okay, and it asks you some questions and stuff, and then you can put more information in, and this informs the searches, because this gives it a bit more context about you, and about how you want to kind of it to respond and stuff like that. So there's a couple of buttons down here. Okay, and this focus button is one that you should be aware of in Perplexity. If I click on focus, the default search type is web, and that kind of does a web search, and it kind of general access to general information. But particularly for this audience, you need to be aware that there is an academic search as well. Okay, and if you turn on academic source by search by just clicking on that, when you ask a question now, so I don't know, just tell me about emotional intelligence. Okay, but this is now going to use a specific type of search using the tool Semantic Scholar, which is a search engine that basically only looks at peer-reviewed papers. Okay, so that's now going off and it's sourcing information. It gives you the sources that it's using. So there are the sources that it's gone off to look at to find out about emotional intelligence. Okay, and if I click on one of these, it'll open a new tab and it'll take me to that paper or to that book or whatever. So from, when you're starting to do academic research and stuff, just as a default engine, Perplexity is pretty good. Now, most of the time, the sources seem to be good. I wonder whether this is one of the times when it isn't, because it's just taking a bit of time. Let's try clicking on another one. Okay, or maybe for some reason my connection is a bit slow or something, because normally these just pop straight up and it just takes you, and I haven't yet found a source that has been hallucinated by Perplexity. Yeah, of course, while I'm demonstrating it now, it's not going to work, is it? But that's just part of the course with any live demo, I suppose. Okay, but this should be taking us to these sources. and I don't know why it isn't, and it always has done for me before. So let me, is it loading? Nothing seems to be happening. It doesn't even seem to be getting through, does it? Okay. All right, so these are the sources, and when you've got your information now being brought up, you've got the sources that are being referenced for each piece of this information are shown in text, so that you can see where the information's coming from. Okay, now this is quite a bit better than what you get from ChatGPT, that doesn't give you sources by default, and you know, it kind of, for me, is pretty good. Now let's say that's okay, but one thing that came out over the summer was a new addition to the capabilities of Perplexity, and I'm finding this very useful when I'm putting kind of, you know, seminars together and stuff like that. Is I'm going to do a search like this about something, that something, and then I want to kind of create an artifact. I want to create something that's a bit more persistent that I can share with my audience or whatever. Okay, so I can convert this search and the stuff that it's brought up into what's called a page. Now you have to be on the Pro model to do this. This is behind the kind of Pro paywall. But if you're on the Pro model, you convert to page. And now what it's going to do is it's going to create almost like a blog post, yeah, format about emotional intelligence. Okay, so here we are. We've got a little intro now, and it's going to now create a multi-section web page about emotional intelligence. And again, we've got the sources all built in here and stuff like that. So it's writing that right now, and there it's finished. But now I can start editing this. I can start making changes. So let's add some header media. Okay, so emotional intelligence. Okay, so it's going to find us some imagery and maybe some YouTube videos and stuff about emotional intelligence. Okay, so let's say, you know, this we'll pop that up there. Okay, and that's from, you know, and it's showing you where it's pulling it from. And then we scroll down, so we've got components of emotional intelligence. So let's see whether we can find some media around that. Well, it's pulling up the same diagram, but I can come in and I can say, okay, you know, I'd rather have, you know, that one or whatever. Okay. You can add sections, you can edit this. So I want a bit more detail about the components of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to say, give me a more detailed bullet listed kind of format on this stuff. And it's going to now rewrite that section and give me more information. And it's primarily in kind of bullet format. Yeah. You can also kind of, you know, highlight some text and say, okay, you know, I don't want that text. Yeah. So, you know, remove this paragraph. Okay. Or, you know, expand on this paragraph or do more stuff. So you've got quite a lot of granular control over what's in each section. You can create a new section. Yeah. So, you know, link emotional intelligence to, I don't know, you know, learning theory. Okay. And let's see what it says. Okay. And I don't know what it's going to say, but okay, so here it comes in, and it's giving me another section, and you see that new section has just appeared in the list on the right. So I can click and jump down, up and down to these sections, and I can move sections up and down and stuff like that as well. Now, if I publish that is now a web page on the web. If I go to the chat and paste that in, if you've got the chat window open now, click on that link and you can go to that page. And it's as quick as that to publish a web page with material that you have, you know, curated via the search and via the editing and stuff, and share it with somebody. And then, you know, if I make a change to this, as soon as I make that change, it's live on that web page, and you refresh and you'll get the change. So quite a powerful way of bringing information together and then making it available to a wider audience almost in real time. Yeah. And updating it on the fly and stuff. So I use Perplexity Pages. I use Notion, which is another tool that has this kind of thing built in, to do a similar job. And it just makes it very, very easy to do this stuff. Okay. Thoughts, questions, comments? You've got a big grin on your face, Jen.
Yeah, well, like it's only that I'm trying to find the time to like the headspace for half an hour to cancel the chat GPT and sign up for Perplexity. And I've played around with the free Perplexity a little bit, all right. And certainly I was aware of the academic button and the option to use that.
Yes.
But what I wasn't sure of, and I now know, was that you can toggle between the different models, which is nice.
Yeah. Yes.
For sure.
I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but you can solve math equations and stuff here, and now it's going to go off for math sources and stuff like that. You can it's generate text without going out to the web.
Yeah, I think the really powerful bit is that it's certainly replacing Google as a search engine.
It is.
I'm finding now that I'll put something into Google, like I was looking for rates of fees for something, I can't remember, and I put it into Google and I got useless results. And then you put the question into Perplexity and you get the answer to what you're looking for. And so it's obviously it's an AI bot, it's a tool, but I think it's also the new Google search, which is very powerful. I'm delighted you've got Notebook LM in your plan for today, because I saw Mushtaq Bilal, is it?
Yeah,
I saw he had a good post about it a couple of weeks ago, and I actually tried it out based on that. So I'm delighted to see that you've
I
got
think
that
I
on the
included that
agenda.
in the last but one newsletter, or the last one, or
You
the
might
last
have,
52 or 53. Yeah,
I'm particularly curious about how it stacks up to things like, is it SCITE? SCITE?
Yeah, SCITE and stuff like that. Notebook LM is more a kind of a place to assemble stuff, as opposed to a fully fledged kind of academic search engine of its own. It's a place to put stuff together and kind of link it, and then interrogate sets of information. So you can upload books, you can upload papers, you can upload text and transcripts and stuff, and then use that as a corpus of knowledge to then interact with, which is
like that sounds really valuable to this kind of community in academia. I'm conscious that someone's got their hand up. Mihal.
Yeah, Mihal. Yeah.
Hi, Joe. That looks fantastic. But maybe a dinosaur question. What about the copyright on those images, or on some of the things that it's picking up? Does it check that before it allows you to publish it?
You're publishing it to the web, and the images that it is kind of offering you when you ask for images are available on the web. Now, I think if you are just publishing on the web for non-commercial gain, I don't think you'd probably get your knuckles wrapped too much. If you were making this web page part of a commercial offering, there might be some more questions to be asked. Perplexity has been in the news in the last couple of months for, kind of with that exact question coming up, how are you getting hold of this information, and should you be making it so easy to then repurpose the imagery or the material and stuff. But to be honest, they're not doing anything that any of the other chatbots aren't doing either. So it seems it's certainly it's under discussion at the moment. Let's put it that way in the overall scheme of things. But we don't seem to have any kind of real clarity over it, unless there is a lawyer in the room who is expert on copyright law and knows whether we should or shouldn't be doing this stuff.
Well, I'd be thinking particularly if this was distributed, well, if it's put on the web, then the students are accessing it themselves.
Yes.
But if it was distributed any other way, there might be an issue.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I thought, I mean, it looks great to me, but even just as a personal tool rather than as a, and not even to talk about use as a teaching tool.
Absolutely. Now, when you create a page, I'll just turn that phone off. Somebody's trying to call me. So when you create a page, there's another option as well. So once you've created those pages, you can add it to what's called a collection. So you can create now a set of kind of linked pages, based on. So if I add to a collection, you can see I've got a few collections already set up here. Yeah. So, emotion, I might add that to my project management collection. And that project management collection, yeah, has got now a set of pages in it. Yeah. And I can share that collection as well if I want to. So if I shareable, anyone with the link can view. The link is now copied. If I pop that into the chat, you should be able to get to that collection page with access now to all 4 of those pages that I've created to do with project management. So it's a kind of, it's another level of possibility, which is possibly quite useful in some cases. And stuff. So I've got collections, for instance, for things like Lightroom. I do a lot of training in photography and Lightroom and stuff like that. So I can create pages on that and then make those available to the people who are doing my Lightroom courses and stuff like that, because it's a global audience drawn from all over the world, and this is a great way of just creating stuff quickly and getting it out. What I'm also finding, we're getting a bit of, it's Jen. It's just a bit of background noise, Jen.
Sorry.
Don't worry. What I'm also finding is when I'm doing courses, when I'm delivering courses, and when you get the interaction going, it's wonderful. And somebody asks me a question, and I maybe say, well, I don't know the answer to that one at the moment. And maybe we kind of start a discussion, somebody else is talking. I can fire Perplexity up and put that question in that I didn't know the answer to and generate a page like in 30 seconds. Yeah. And then share the answer with everybody, or add that to my Notion page, or add that to my PowerPoint deck almost in real time during the session. So the session notes become kind of almost an organic evolution of, it's not just pre-prepared material. We're actually generating material as we go along and assembling it in these kind of different blocks and building blocks and things. And these tools allow you to do this in a way that we've never really been able to do before. So I would kind of, very often now for a teaching session, I would have a Notion page, and I will populate it with the stuff that I want to cover and learning outcomes at the top. It'll automatically generate me a little table of contents at the top. But then I can pop stuff in as we go along as well. If people come up and, and the students pop stuff in the chat, here's a good video that I came across that is really interesting or whatever. Just take the video, embed it in the Notion page, or and it just appears. And it's playable from within the Notion page. So using the tools in this kind of way is a kind of game changer when it comes to creating and developing content for classes and for student groups and stuff like that. You don't necessarily have to do it all up front. You can make this more part of a co-created learning journey, which I love doing. I love not being necessarily the sage on stage. I love sometimes taking my class and saying, right, let's go explore and see what we can pull together. And then we can maybe critically analyze what's coming in as a class and see what's good and what's not so good. And that has all kinds of, benefits then from a learning discussion point of view. Enda.
Thanks, Joe. I hadn't come across Perplexity before, so it's interesting to hear. The academic references are actual real references, are they? Because I know ChatGPT had a tendency to make up its own references.
No, Perplexity. I mean, I've been using this now pretty solidly for about 4 or 5 months, Perplexity, as I say, hasn't yet given me a hallucinated reference. Yeah, so because it's using Semantic Scholar as which is an academic search engine that's kind of, plugged into the academic databases. All the references that it does come up with, particularly when I've got that academic focus set. So you're doing that here. When you click on the link, it opens the page up, with that paper. So it seems to be very good. Yeah.
Yeah. And is that bit free? That to do an academic one? Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you get that focus button even
Yeah.
on that, so you should be able to get at these, if you want to. And the attach button allows you to attach, upload a PDF or a text file or a Word doc or whatever, and then that becomes something that you can now run queries against and ask about and stuff. So if you've got a paper, or you've got a text of a book and you want to kind of ask it questions, get it to summarize things and stuff, you can do that as well. Yeah. But by default, Perplexity does not share what you upload into it as into its training data corpus. So it's kind of relatively safe from that perspective. I mean, I still wouldn't upload kind of, student papers with identifiable names and things in it. But they seem, from what I've read and researched, they're not by default sharing everything. ChatGPT, on the other hand, I wouldn't necessarily trust them not to be sharing, because they seem to kind of by default have that turned on. You can go into the ChatGPT and turn it off. Is that actually still not, is it keeping your data private? I don't know. But certainly Perplexity and Claude, which are the two that I use most now, both seem to be starting from the right point rather than the wrong point in terms of data privacy. Yeah, I don't know whether anybody else has got any observations or thoughts on that, but that's where I've got to so far on that. No. Were you going to say something, Jen? Yeah.
No, only just that I'd really love to look more at the Notebook LM one that you've got.
Yeah, well, let's go to that then, because I've shown you Perplexity. Okay. So Notebook LM is an experiment. It's part of Google's beta stuff. So there's the link. I'll pop it in the chat for everybody, just in case you haven't gone and played with it. So it's notebooklm.google.com. Okay, and it's a pretty bare bones kind of interface. Okay, so you can create a new notebook. Okay, and then you can add sources, you can upload sources to it. Okay, and there is a limit, but I mean, it's a big limit. You can upload a lot of stuff. Okay.
Is that a limit per notebook or a limit per account?
The notebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
PDF, text, markdown documents, whatever. Okay. You can link it here to Google Docs and Google Slides and your Google Drive. You can set website links in there. You can copy, paste text in. And once you've done that, then you have a knowledge base that you can then run queries against, just like any other normal ChatGPT. So you could load in a load of papers and a load of information about a particular subject area that you're going to write a paper on, or that you're going to create a new study session on, or whatever. And then it'll just use that knowledge.
You see the way you can connect in your Google Drive? Can you point it at a subfolder of your Google Drive, or is it an on-off switch where it's going to look at your entire drive?
Okay, so there's my drive. Okay.
Yeah.
My drive. So, if I want to look at something, I don't know, hot topics in project management, that's a folder.
Right.
Can I choose that? No, I think I've got to choose. You see, I'm only getting insert down at the file level.
Well, actually, that's better, because I'd nearly rather be able to choose on a file by file basis rather than I was afraid that you'd have to connect your entire drive and then it would be reading a load of rubbish at the same time. But if you can choose it at the file level.
Yeah. Right. So
And
there's,
are they counted as part of the 50?
yeah, that's one insert. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's not like they're giving you freebies because they're Google Docs.
I don't think so. Not as far as I
Okay.
understand it. So that's broken that document down into so we can generate an FAQ on that document that I just updated. Yeah, we can generate a little briefing doc on it. So there we are. Give me a briefing doc on my hot topics course outline. Yeah, and that's what it's going to do now. Yeah, or I can kind of just start asking questions about it. And you can see at the moment we've just got one source uploaded. But if I'd uploaded multiple stuff, so there's my briefing document, okay, for hot topics. Target audience, core themes, learning outcomes, module structure, resources, key quotes, next steps. Yeah, it just generated that in one click from the document. So there's a lot of possibilities here. You can select all your sources. You see up here it says select all sources. So if I've got 30 or 40 documents and I only actually want it to reference these 10 for now, yeah, I can just say, well, just check on the documents that you want to reference and it'll ignore the others. And then it'll just do a summary on those particular documents. So that could be useful. Maybe you've got 4 papers from a particular author. Yeah. Okay, right. Give me a summary of what this author has written on this topic. Create me a briefing document on that or whatever. And it will do that. You can create your own notes. So there's a new note, and you can just write your own notes in, or you can, start typing. And there's a little guide to what you can do that brings up these different things. Okay, and then it also gives you suggested questions around the stuff that you've uploaded into the notebook. So this is free. There's no pro account on this. This is free. Anybody can set these things up. So I think from a research perspective, this is shaping up to be quite a powerful tool. And as Jen said, I think in either 53 or 52, I did put a link to Mushtaq Bilal's. I think let's have a look. Notion table of contents. There's links to Research Rabbit. There's Semantic Scholar, the thing that Perplexity is using. Yeah, Khanmigo is now available to teachers for free. That's Notebook LM.
There it is.
Yeah. So if I do command and click, that'll open it up in a new link, and there's quite a good little how-to on using Notebook LM. Okay. So there we are. So that's the last edition of that's the latest edition of the AI for Educators. If you're not already subscribed. Okay. So that's Notebook LM. Let's just jump over to Claude, and I just want to show you a couple of things in Claude. So in the same way that Notebook LM allows you to kind of assemble a set of data and then run queries and stuff against it. One of the new things that is in Claude now, and it's in the professional plan model. So I mean, you've got to again be paying the €20 a month. Is this thing called projects? So if I create a project, okay. So we can create a new project, or we can kind of work on a project, for instance. So I've got a Lightroom Classic one here. Okay, and you can upload information to this. So here we are. We've got various documents that I uploaded, text documents, a docx there that I've uploaded on Lightroom Classic. And now I can ask about stuff, and it will use this data set as the corpus of knowledge that it uses to answer questions. So again, it's the same idea of assemble a data set, and now you're limiting your response if you like to that data set, which can be quite useful. So more things I didn't know Lightroom could do is just about a 10-page document of stuff that I use for one of my talks. The same with that one. Lightroom Classic Step by Step, that's a 40-odd thousand word book that I'm in the process of writing on Lightroom. So that's the draft of that book. So I've probably got 50,000 words loaded up into this particular project at the moment, and I've used quarter of my project kind of size. So again, you've got quite a lot of space to kind of upload information. You can add more content and stuff like that, and then you can ask questions. Tell me about masking in Lightroom. Okay, and it will go off, look at all the data in those documents, and the response will be based on the data set that you've uploaded rather than just general searches, which, depending on what you're doing, may or may not be worthwhile. It's a little bit slower, but that's, I think, because it's kind of working on this specific data set rather than a wider data set. There we are. So that's now giving us stuff on masking. Okay. So there we are. Melanie has her hand up.
Hi, Joe. Thanks very much. It's really interesting. I actually did a diploma in AI recently, but there's been so much progress since then. I'm writing a book at the moment. So if I wanted to, and I was using ChatGPT, but a lot of these are much more interesting to use. If you wanted to publish it on Amazon, would any of these be interesting or useful for design?
Well, I've done 7 books now on Amazon, and I use these tools as part of my writing process. I'm writing stuff myself as well, but I'm using it for research. I'm using it for some of the content generation and then tweaking it and, adding bits, taking bits away, that kind of stuff. So definitely putting books together and stuff, these tools are great time savers in research, in assembly, in structuring, in checking, yeah, absolutely. Now, they're not going to go through the process of KDP publication, but I mean, that's just 4 tabs on your Amazon bookshelf. It doesn't take long to kind of get the book uploaded and your cover file and stuff. I have a talk on that, actually. I have a 2-hour session because it's one of the things I now offer my master's students is the ability to output their capstone projects as a book. And I take them through the KDP process. So we published 10 books this semester from the Masters in Project Management of students who've gone through exactly that process. So yeah, tools are really good. Yeah, and I mean, if you want to have a chat at any time on that, we can follow up offline or whatever.
I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I mean, you've probably got my details, but it's just joe.houghton@gmail.com. It's in the chat. Ping me an email. We'll have a chat. Okay. So that's Claude projects, and that's one of the big things that's come out since we were last talking in May. But another thing that's been added to Claude recently, and they've just last week made this available to the free tier of Claude, is a thing called artifacts. And this is a bit magic. Okay. So artifacts allow Claude to create stuff that's kind of like persistent. So the easiest way to do this is to show you. Okay. Create me an interactive HTML quiz on create me an interactive HTML quiz on the, I don't know, causes of the French Revolution aimed at 12-year-olds. Okay. Now, it's going to have a think about it. It's going to go off and find stuff out about the French Revolution. Now watch what happens. All right, so it's split the screen and it's now coding a website, which is going to be an interactive website, which will allow you to ask questions and get answers and stuff. So there we are. there's a website on causes of the French Revolution. So what was the main social system in France before the revolution? I don't know, communism. Yeah. King of France, yeah, too much money, merchants, ideas about it. Right. Oh, I didn't do very well there, did I? Yeah, only gave me score out of 5. Right. Okay. So thanks, Claude. Okay. Keep a running score. Yeah. If I get the answer wrong, yeah, tell me what the correct answer was. Okay. So we're making a few more changes. Yeah. Make the color scheme of the French red, white, and blue. French. Look, no hands. This isn't me coding. Okay. I am an ex-computer programmer, but I can't code this fast. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Okay. And then we're going to get the adjusted. Okay. Right. So let's see now. Okay. So, right. Incorrect. The answer was right. Who's the King of France? Aha! Yeah. So I've got a score, and there's the score being kept as well. So it's done all 3 things that I asked it to. It's updated them all. Okay. So we have the code there, which we can copy and edit. Yeah. I can publish this, okay, as an artifact. So I'll publish it and copy the link. Okay. So there's the link published. Okay. So if you want to do a quiz on the French Revolution, yeah, it's in the chat. You can click on the link, and that should open up a web page and give you a little quiz on the French Revolution. Yeah, and that took me less than 2 minutes to generate. Yeah, how much fun could you have in your classes with this? Yeah. Emma, Jen, I can see the cogs whirring.
Yeah. I've seen some of this stuff all right over the summer. It's incredibly powerful, and it's definitely raising the stakes a lot for what's possible, for sure.
I can download that to a file, so I can save that. Okay, so if I save that, and it saves as a, an encapsulated HTML file, so I can then post that up on my LMS if I like, or whatever, or I can, just make the open link available. So you can iterate around, you can create stuff, test it, see whether it works, see whether it doesn't work. You can go in here and you can edit the code. So if you've got some of the wording on some of the questions or whatever, and you want to change something, yeah. So we might say Adolf Hitler instead there, or whatever. You can edit this stuff and improve it and change it and stuff. It's really, really clever. So it will generate this kind of thing. It will generate documents. It will generate spreadsheets. It'll generate mind maps. These are all different types of artifact. I don't know whether we can find out what kind of documents and other formats can you generate as artifacts. I wonder whether Claude will tell us. Yeah, there we go.
Like, I presume it'll do something like a rubric.
Oh yeah, yes. I mean, you can also generate rubrics and stuff like that. But I mean, any of the AIs will do that.
I know. One of the things I've been toying with a lot is I watched one of the webinars over the summer that you recommended in one of your newsletters, or maybe it was, I don't know, it was something that I found that originated in one of your newsletters. It might have been a link of a link of a link. But anyway, the person was suggesting that we need to completely redesign the rubrics so that what we are measuring, what we're assessing, is not product, it's process.
Yes.
And there were some really interesting suggestions made. But when it came to kind of operationalizing it myself, I kind of got a little bit stuck. But it would be really interesting to see what kind of an artifact Claude might come up with for a rubric that measures process and not product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Let's test it out.
Let's test it out. Let's test it out. Right. So I'm running a project management class on risk management for undergrads. Yeah.
And like, what do you normally get them to do? Like a capstone project or something? Their assignment is.
So my assignment for them is to engage with an Irish SME. Yeah. Analyze their current business strategy, and then offer risk insights. Yeah. Create me a rubric that is based around their process for
a rubric that measures process.
Yeah, that's okay. So that measures, yeah, that measures. Okay, their process for generating such insights. Let's see what it gives us.
And Joe, do they normally write a report for you, or do they like what do you?
They generate they generate me a process report. They generate the SME gets the analysis, their strategic risk analysis, and they also have to put together a 10-minute video summary of their key findings. So we have multimodal kind of submissions, and they can either submit the report as a report or as a kind of as a web page, because increasingly that's something that they want to explore. Okay, so here we are. We've got a criteria with so SME engagement, excellent, and then we've got good,
fair, and poor,
stuff.
And what are the criteria? What did they suggest as criteria?
So these are
interesting. Because I was fascinated. One of the suggestions in one of these webinars that I watched said that one of the criteria should be follows instructions, and that the student followed all the instructions in the assignment, or some of them, or very few of them, or none of them. But like, it meant that you could detail lots of instructions about what they had. I just thought it was a fascinating way of approaching it, because the instructions could be references, including your references, or the instructions might be to do this, to do that, and then you can grade them on how well they follow the instructions, and that being part of the grade. And it was just the first time.
Feed the briefing while you're creating the rubric, and say, as you're creating the rubric, say, use the brief, to inform the rubric as well as other things.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just thought it was a really clever way of getting towards this process piece for measuring process instead of product, because we may forget about the product being a fair measure of the student's own learning, let's say.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, so I asked it to do a few things there. Okay, so I wanted to expand the criteria with more detail, use letter grades, and link to some recognized academic models. So it's regenerated the rubric. It's giving us the models that it's using. Okay, we recognize some of these models straight away. Now the letter grades are not our letter grades.
No, for sure. They're whatever. But like, you can
say, okay, our letter grades are, A is 70 to 76 or whatever it is, and B is, 60 to 66. And they would just update these things. It's
And then there's another piece then that you could also feed it, which is like I can't remember what the name of them are, but there's definitely guidelines on rubrics in terms of the verbs that are used, like using the word understand is not a great word in a rubric because you can't measure it. So I can't remember the name of them, but like you can rewrite the rubric using verbs that are measurable, and then you get something even better.
yeah. So you know in I don't know the USA.
It's like Boo Tal or someone, I can't remember who put it forward.
Well, let's see whether that kind of gives us a slightly different kind of
I
look.
have them here, Jen, if you want them.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's really only just the kind of for the sake of the exercise to see what it
And I
what it
mean,
comes out
the
with.
more you feed in of
Yeah.
the changes. I mean, I was doing a session with the National Standards Authority yesterday on AI, and they were saying like one of the things that they have to do is write certification documents and things. But they have to be in a very particular format, and very often it's
Mm.
something like a British standard is published, and the certification has to follow certain criteria from the British standard. So we pulled the British standard down, we uploaded it into Claude, and we said generate us a new certification on, I think it was cladding on external cladding on buildings or whatever. Yeah, using the BSI standard as your kind of Bible.
Your reference.
It
Yeah.
generated this thing, and one of the guys who writes these certification things said that's 80% of it dead right straight off. He
Yeah.
said, I'm out of a job in a year,
Yeah.
Now you do need domain knowledge. You can't
You
just
do.
do this and ask it and expect it to get 100% of what you need, but it'll get you 50%, 60%, 70% there, and then you use your own knowledge, and you tweak it, and you take bits out and you add bits in and stuff. So
Can
I
I
would,
ask you another
yeah,
question on kind of on this prompting stuff? So I've been seeing a lot recently of people who go to great lengths to write a very long, detailed prompt that has absolutely everything in it from the beginning. I guess with the intention of that first draft back from the bot being very close to what they want. Let's say different to the process we did here, where it's more conversational. We ask it for something and then we tell it how to
we
fix it.
tweak
We tell it how to fix it. And you tweak it. Do you notice much difference in the quality of what you ultimately get from one or the other? Like, does the token window start to run out with the conversational one where it
No,
forgets?
the token windows. I'm just going to close the door. The dog's barking. The token windows have improved significantly. So the token windows, for those who don't know what that means, is the kind of like short-term memory of these chatbots. It was very small, when we started, kind of 18 months ago. Now they'll remember a lot more in the chat before they start forgetting things. So you kind of don't really need to worry about token windows much anymore.
It's
I've
interesting because I periodically now will ask the bot, where are you? Like I'll ask it,
Right.
I'm about to give us something. Do you have the token window to deal with it? And sometimes it gives me a nonsense answer. And
Yes.
that's when I know that it's probably running out.
If
Other
you
times it'll say, no, I can't read all of that document, but I can summarize,
use Claude, use Claude.
use
If
Claude. Yeah.
open window is your worry, either point Perplexity to Claude Opus, yeah, or Sonnet, or just use Claude itself. The token window in Claude you're never going to run out on. So that's just it just becomes a non-issue. I'm a simple guy, me. I can't hold a lot in my head in one go. So what I tend to do is iterate a conversation. I'll start with something basic, and then I'll look at what it gets, and I'll say that's okay, but give me this as well. That's okay. And then what I very often do is I'll then go back through my conversation, and I'll assemble a mega prompt, if you like, and just
Oh,
stick
yeah.
that in a document. So next time I don't have to do that whole iteration. I can start with a mega prompt, tweak my bits, and kind of go from there. But I think this dialogic approach to using the chats GPTs allows you more flexibility to develop an idea, an argument, a train of thought, or whatever. That's the way it works for me.
I
don't know.
certainly sometimes feel like it'd take me so long to write the damn prompt in the first place that I'd
Yeah,
have the real thing
exactly.
written in the same time.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to jump because I have to be in a meeting at 2, but it was great to catch up, Joe, and thanks, Mairead, again for organising.
Super. Well, we're going to draw to a close now. Anyway, we've got a question from Enda, and then we'll pull things to
Well, yeah. Thanks, Joe. It's a very quick one. It's just in relation to Claude. I just tried to link in, log in there, and it was prompting me to look for me date of birth, me phone number, and all that sort of stuff. Is that just the way it is in terms of registering for that, or
you have to set an account up? Just
yeah.
So that's, But Claude was started by 2 guys who left Anthropic.
Why does it need your date of birth, for example?
I don't know, but of all the AIs, I would probably trust Claude more than most of the other ones, because it's actually based on some well-published kind of ethical principles. They do have an ethical manifesto, so I wouldn't be worrying too much that Claude is going to do nasty things with your data. Now, OpenAI, I wouldn't trust as far as I could throw them, but so yeah.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
No problem. Okay, we're at 13:58, Mairead. Just about brought it in on the hour. That's
Yeah, I think that's really good if you're happy.
super.
And we don't have any other hands up. And would we try and go for November? Would that be a good one?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find a date in November. Yeah, I'll send you some options.
That'd be brilliant. Yeah, thanks. So thanks a million, Joe. Just for those of you that don't know, the seminar was brought to you under the umbrella of the Blended Learning Community of Practice. And if anyone would like to join the Community of Practice, just drop me an email. So it's just basically a discussion place where it's safe to have, I suppose, discussion, explore views, and share without being recorded, and meeting colleagues too. So
before you go, I'll put in the link to subscribe to my AI newsletter, which is a free weekly newsletter on LinkedIn. It's in the chat there. So
please do in your book.
If you're interested in hearing a little bit about education in AI on a weekly basis, that just gives you a drip feed. So good to see everybody. And
you want to mention your book and your other
the book's linked in the newsletter, and so's the new podcast that I'm kind of co-hosting. So if you go to the newsletter, it's all in there. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a million, Joe. And you'll hear about Jen's and my podcast in the PR that will come out on Monday.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks again, Joe.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.